Hello and welcome to another episode of the Extra Real Podcast. Travis and Paxton coming at you again with a controversial film. It's going to be a roller coaster. It's going to be hard to talk about, honestly, because it is somewhat controversial. But let's get right into it. Let's get the trailer going. We're just gonna have the We're gonna have the audio pick up, so it might be a little delayed.
That's why I had to come down here this morning, man. That's why I had to miss my cartoon. You call me, you tell me it's important. You're going home. Thank you, man. Quit leering at me. People are gonna think I just broke up with you.
Two fallen angels have just discovered a loophole that can get them back into heaven.
Outstanding work.
All they have to do is get to Redback, New Jersey. There's only one problem.
What do you want with me?
We stop a couple of angels from entering and thus negating all existence. I hate it when people need it spelled out for them.
Now,
How to charge you with a holy crusade.
one person has been chosen to stop them, but she won't have to do it alone.
I'm Jerry. This is my head of life mate, Sam Bob.
You gotta be kidding me.
Prophet speaking.
What about sex?
No sex.
Guys, I guess just don't bother Sky, you know? Oh, that sucks. That was the 13th apostle.
You knew Christ.
No. Brother owed me $12. I thought she looked familiar.
Let me guess. 14th apostle.
Like tickets to New Jersey, please?
Jersey's sold out, sir. I suggest you not underestimate the staggering drawing power of the Garden State.
They're successful. You, me, all of this ends in a heartbeat. I feel like Han Solo, you're Chewie, and she's Ben Kenobi.
Prepare to taste God's wrath. Anyone who isn't dead or from another plane of existence would do well to cover their ears right about now.
I did like how they had George Carlin as the
Yeah, as the priest. Yeah.
cardinal.
World of death, dude, I swear to God.
A lot of heavy hitters. A lot of good actors.
Great sense of humor. Takes
I mean,
centuries
a lot of these are still in their early acting days, except for probably.
Yeah.
Get it?
Is this an Alan Rickman before Harry Potter? Or is
Yeah,
Harry
this
Potter?
this is before Harry
Yep.
Potter. Yeah.
Actually, I would love to know exactly when Harry Potter started to see where Alan Rickman was. I almost think that Harry Potter was earlier, but I could be wrong.
Not earlier than this movie. This is 1999.
I understand
Harry
that.
Potter started like 2004.
1997 was the book, I believe.
Yeah, the book, but not about the movie.
Okay, let's stop this. This is the intro to the film. Actually, let's just let this play. This is kind of a weird part of the film. It lays the groundwork for the film. 2001.
Yeah, so this is before that.
Yep.
Because I think, what was that one he was in with Tom Allen? That, Never Give Up, Never Surrender, Galaxy Quest? I think it was?
Who are you saying was with her?
Tom Allen.
Tim Allen. Yeah.
Tim Allen, yeah.
Who plays in Galaxy Quest that's in this one?
Yeah, no, Alan Rickman.
Oh, he played in that one?
Yeah, he was
okay,
the
okay.
guy with like the weird
Yeah, he's the weirdo, the alien guy.
Yeah,
yeah,
the weird
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, so this film portrays a killing, I guess you could say. Those guys were evil. They killed the guy.
No, they never killed him. He was in a coma.
Oh, sure. Yep. And this is probably another part that sets the stage for the film.
In this country view the Catholic Church. They think of us as a passé, archaic institution. People find the Bible obtuse, even hokey. Now, in an effort to disprove all that, The church has appointed this year.
Yeah,
as
it's
a
very
time renewal
controversial that
for
even
the faith
George Carlin
and
playing
the
this,
style.
given his stance on
For
religion.
example, the crucifix.
I think
While it
that
has
was
been a
kind of the
time-honored
point.
symbol of our faith, Holy Mother Church has decided to retire this highly recognizable yet wholly depressing image of our Lord crucified. Christ didn't come to earth to give us the willies. He came to help us out. He was a booster. And it's with that take on our Lord in mind that we've come up with a new, more inspiring sigil.
Yes, and I've seen people use this portrayal before. It's like funny.
The first of many revamps the Catholicism Wow campaign will unveil over the next year. I give you
The Buddy
Buddy
Jesus.
Christ.
Yes, yes.
Just his face.
Yeah, everybody's reaction was pretty good too. You can't tell if it's like excitement or disgust.
That's
A
not
lot
a
of like
section term we
gasp.
use for the symbol, just something we've been kicking around the office. But look at it.
Well, even he admits is like, I don't know if this is actually what we're gonna use, but this is what we have right now.
Yeah.
Well, there you have it.
Yeah, and then you get to the angels in the film, Ben Affleck and Matt Damon,
Now, through the looking
talking to a nun, nonetheless.
Nonetheless,
Nonetheless.
pun intended.
His good nature, he obviously
And these characters are
or with his
angels fallen from heaven, in a way, I guess. I have a hard time following the dialogue.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah,
So we're
even
gonna-
in the trailer they said
We're
they're
just going to
fallen
stop
angels.
it there, because I don't know how badly this is going
What
to
do they
get,
do?
but...
They dupe all these oysters into following them and then proceed to shock and devour the helpless creatures en masse. Now, I don't know what that says to you, but to me, it says that following these faiths based on mythological figures ensures the destruction of one's inner being. Organized religion destroys who we are by
Yeah,
inhibiting our
right.
actions, by inhibiting our decisions, out of fear of some intangible parent figure who shakes a finger at us. for
All she
thousands
wanted
of
was
years.
money
He
to give
says-
to her
he
church.
says, do it and I'll
That's
fucking
all she was
spank you."
doing because she has that cup of change.
Yeah, so that dialogue there was, you know, if you're fairly indoctrinated into the Catholic religion,
You're basically
that probably
she-
hurts you fairly well. I don't know if that's what they're going for though in the grand scheme, you know.
I think he.
I
no,
think it's
don't
still
think it
just
was.
more a part of just adds to the comedy of it and pokes fun at religion at the same time.
Yeah, I don't think he ever meant it to be like a serious thing. That's just how people took
Yeah,
it.
and I think that's why it was so controversial
Controversial.
because people did take a comedy seriously.
Yeah, they wanted this pulled from theaters.
Yeah, absolutely.
At one
And
point.
I watched a film of these priests. They were reviewing the film, whether you should watch it or not, and they gave it the don't watch it. And I'm like, you're giving it zero opportunity here. Just give it a chance. And they gave it a chance, but they're telling their followers not to watch it unless you're like 18 years old.
But even then, I mean, you're kind of
Which you probably shouldn't. You probably shouldn't anyway because it is rated R. So, you know, given that it is rated R, you probably shouldn't watch it until you're 18 years old. But give it a chance. You know, see if it. If your faith is so strong, this shouldn't change anything. You know, I don't think it would.
Yeah, no, that's
It
what
shouldn't.
that's what I'm saying. Like,
Yeah.
if you believe so much,
Yes, exactly.
this shouldn't affect how you think.
So we got the controversial part out of the way.
Yeah.
Just to go back to the film, though, it is a lot of dialogue, a lot to
process.
a lot to absorb, a lot to follow along with. You got to really pay attention to who's who because they are human characters and they're trying to portray like God, angels, apostles, kind of
Well,
the
yeah,
devil
just
characters.
like the beginning, you get those three kids. And
Yes.
then they're beating up a guy.
You
it's
don't
like,
know what anything is.
What?
Like it throws you with that.
Yeah.
You have three kids beating up a guy. What does that mean?
Yeah,
and it
what-
kind of explains it later
Later
on.
on,
But you're still trying to wonder, like, where are we going?
And
from here?
then
What's going
well,
on?
Even then, it's not until like at least halfway after the movie.
And going back to that, when they finally get to that scene where Jay and Silent Bob basically interact with those kids, that's when things kind of like start to it starts
Well,
to make
the-
sense.
God's voice, I think it's Megatron or
Yeah, Megatron, I like that.
something like that. Anyways, he comes in, tells that girl that she'll meet two guys, and then one's silent, and then one's very talkative, and then boom, describes Jay and Bob
Yeah.
to the point.
Where does to start things off? you're a big Jay and Silent Bob fan. Where does this movie line up with things in their film?
I mean, this is one of his earlier films, so I mean,
So they prefaced it with Clerks and Chasing Amy. Obviously, those were films that came out before.
yeah, Clerks is way before. I think
Does-
Chasing Amy was after. I could be wrong.
I guess my
It's
question
about
that I
the same
should have
time.
asked is, where does this sit in the line of Jay and Silent Bob?
I feel
Are
like
they just forever going characters and they just kind of fill in wherever?
yeah, unless they make a movie about it. Like Jay and Silent Bob reboot was focused more on them. Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back, that was mostly focused on them. There is movies where they're the main characters, but there's a lot of movies that they're just like kind of side characters. This one, I feel
This-
like there's. I mean, they're not main characters, but I wouldn't say they're side characters. They're kind of like
I would say they're
like number twos.
they're like the good guys, but they're not like the powerful good guys.
I mean,
Is that
they
a good way
are.
of
I
saying
mean, I wouldn't say they're the main person in this. They're like
But
a
they're
backup
still,
role.
but they're in this film. They're still considered mortals. Like
Yeah,
they're
they're still
not. They're not
mortals.
like godly or anything.
no,
They're
they're supposed to be apostles or whatever.
not, yeah, exactly.
Which is like the people that wrote God's
Yeah.
word in the Bible.
Yep.
So they're not. There's not godliness or anything towards them, but
And this was
they're important in
This
a
was
way.
a film that Kevin Smith just kind of rolled with. Like he got a lot of, what I would describe as heavy actors in the film. Alan Rickman, Matt Damon, Ben Affleck. You got to take it for what it is in 1999. Maybe they're still building their repertoire. They got a lot of film. They had a lot of good films prior to this as well. Like you said, Galaxy Quest. Chris Rock is in this, so I mean, I even.
Malik for first name.
I'm not really familiar with a lot of those other actors, but George Carlin, that would be another one. I was like, oh,
Well, he's
man, you got
pretty huge.
Yeah, and I mean, all these people probably did it because they liked the script. Like, I wouldn't think they would do something this controversial and be like, I'm just doing it for the payday. You know, they probably enjoyed the script.
Well, I
in
mean,
order to-
Ben Affleck has been in other of his films.
Okay.
Matt Damon, I think, him and Ben Affleck were kind of friends, and I think that's what kind of got him into it.
Oh, okay. Okay.
And then they kind of falling out. That's why you don't really see Matt Damon and other ones.
Any Jay and Silent Bob? Was this their last one that they did together?
Matt Damon and
Ben Affleck? Oh, you're saying Matt Damon and Ben Affleck?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm talking about those two.
They
two.
did a lot of films together.
No, I know, but I'm saying they did have a falling out at some point because there's movies later. Because you see Matt Damon always in the MCU.
Yeah.
Like he's
yeah.
in all like the new Thor ones. He plays as that Loki on stage, and then Ben Affleck is all DC now. Like
Sure,
there's
yeah.
like
They
two
split up.
complete.
Like,
Yeah,
you
they're not in the
do,
same.
you do MCA.
They used to be
universe.
like the Jay and Silent Bob, and now they're like completely different.
Yeah, they're now
places
just
now.
we're doing Jay and Silent Bob.
Yeah, like Matt Damon's by himself and Ben Affleck's by himself.
Yeah, I mean, this is okay. Is this Good Will Hunting came out before, right?
Good Will Hunting, yeah.
Yeah, so I mean that was a pretty big film. They decided to do this film. That's a big jump of faith for them to want to be in this film.
Well, I'm sure Ben Affleck kind of probably more talked them into it.
Yeah.
Probably.
Maybe.
I feel like Ben Affleck had a kind of a rising from Kevin Smith's movies because,
Yeah.
like, if you ever seen Jersey Girl, he did a really good role in that. So
Okay.
I mean, Ben Affleck's had other roles that he's done, pretty well at, and then got his career going. I'm sure.
Okay, we got kind of the preface of it. What scenes stood out to you the most? I have a couple that I want to talk about. What do you think stood out to you?
The main one that really stood out was at the end.
Okay.
Is the main one.
Just
that really stood out.
that's what you took away from the film the most?
Yeah, because the other one's just kind of like, I don't know. They're like you said, they're just all over the place. It's really hard to follow because like the first part when he almost looks homeless, but he's not. But he gets beat up by those three kids. You're just like, okay,
Yeah.
like what's gonna happen there? And they don't tell you nothing. Like nothing happened.
Yeah.
He's like,
There's
just
really
gone.
no dialogue. It's just kids come up, beat the dude up,
Yeah.
and next scene.
Which I kind of get because they want to make it suspicious, but
Yeah,
then you're
yeah.
like,
You don't want to give it
okay.
away
Yeah,
right
well,
at the beginning.
But I mean, like they just, I don't know, that just makes no sense.
Yeah.
I mean, they could have had like that one Azrael guy talking to him.
Yeah.
Hey, get this guy for some, certain reason or something.
I don't know if it's a budget thing too, but these guys are supposed to be kind of otherworldly. You know what I mean? Like, why portray them as mortals? Like, it just seems kind of weird. But I mean,
think that's
maybe
just
it's
a Kevin
just
Smith thing.
yeah.
He obviously likes hockey. He's always wearing a hockey jersey in any podcast he ever does. Like I don't know. But yeah,
Big hockey fan is why
he's
they
like
were in the hockey attire.
I think he's just a big hockey. Because if you watch Clerks, they're always playing hockey. Clerks 3, they're playing hockey.
Yeah.
Like, it's just it's like one of his signatures or something.
That makes sense. There's a couple scenes that stood out to me in this film. I'm going to get the first one out of the way. It was kind of a controversial scene that added more to just the religious aspect, but the corporate aspect, where the two angels, Matt Damon and Ben Affleck, go into that corporate room, and they're basically calling all these guys out. They're like in a boardroom, kind of, and these guys are sitting around, like, what the hell are you guys doing here? And you're like, what do you mean, what the hell are we doing here? We're going to point out all the flaws in you guys. You think you're all high and mighty, but you guys are just a bunch of fucking...
That was Matt Damon's... that was what he wanted to do.
Yeah.
And then Ben Affleck's like, all right, I'll go along with this, but we gotta make it snappy.
Yeah.
And then, basically, the first law of what they got him under was the worship of a false idol, which is the Moby doll, or the Moby.
Okay, so in that scene, they were trying to be like judge, jury, executioner of these guys, of like how they've treated other people.
Well, how they've dealt in their own life, basically.
Okay.
Number one is they were worshiping a false idol, which is Moby, the cow.
And that's how they were making their money, though? They were like kind of a corporate...
Yeah, like that. Well, Moby's a restaurant in that reality. It's real now.
Yeah.
But back then, it was just a fake restaurant.
Yeah.
Kind of like McDonald's is to us in real life.
Yep.
And then they were using Moby. They were basically saying that they were worshiping Moby because obviously it was making them money.
Yeah.
But I don't see how they could really portray that as, oh, you're worshiping a different god.
Yeah.
That was the main thing they were there for.
The one thing I got from that was just like, you guys are fairly greedy and terrible people, and we're gonna do something about it.
Except for one person.
Yeah, they didn't sacrifice her, I guess. But yeah, it was kind of a weird scene. I kind of...
Well, even that Loki's like, he was about to kill her, and he's like, you got lucky, because we gotta go. Like,
sure.
It's like, what? You just said she was innocent, but then you were still playing the thing about killing her?
Yeah.
What?
That was an interesting part, let's say. What I got from it the most of was the, like, I don't know, greed. Like you said, they're worshiping a false god, but I mean, they're in a how they got there to begin with, where they wrote that into the script is...
They were basically portraying, like, McDonald's as just like...
Oh, I get that, but like, how does that scene fit into the script? Like, where does that add to the story?
Basically, they're just making fast food restaurants bad people in general, I think.
Okay.
So then, obviously, it's a religionist story, so they were playing that. I don't know why they played it into it.
Yeah.
Like you said, they could have probably just left it out.
Nothing would have been added or subtracted.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it does add to it because it kind of gives them
their
power, I guess. But they still didn't use their... I mean, maybe they are mortals, but they didn't use their, powers.
No, I would say they're still angels.
Yeah. That's what I mean. Like, they came from heaven. They're now in the mortal world, but
still as angels.
They didn't use like any, I don't know, use the force or
whatever.
Whatever you do. I don't know. Do what you have to do because the whole thing was behind them getting back into heaven, and I figured if they were angels, they would have some kind of power. I don't know. Some kind of like control over the world that they're in.
Matt Damon's role in heaven was he was the angel of death.
Okay.
And so he brought down, he would kill people that were supposed to die of certain reasons. And so then Bartleby brought him down with him to like trying to, get him on his side because they didn't really use the angel of death anymore. They explain in the movie.
Yeah, I know they did. I don't recall
Because
very
like,
much
well,
of it,
okay, so God used to be like an almighty, powerful, like he would kill people, like the Great Flood and all that.
but yeah.
Loki was the person that brought that on.
Oh, okay,
And
okay.
then,
So
then God also
God
got
gave
better.
the orders, and he was the guy to go and do it.
Yeah.
Okay,
And so then,
okay.
and then God got in the New Testament. God started like being more, oh well, maybe we should, punish him, but not like drastically, like back in the Old Testament.
Sure.
So then they cut Loki's job, and then Bartleby's like, well, if they don't want you,
You're
come
coming
with
with
me.
me. Okay,
yeah,
okay.
type thing.
Okay, that's a good way of explaining that. I get that a little more now.
Well, I've seen this movie, obviously, probably more times than you.
Yeah, I've only seen it like once.
one time?
Yeah, one time. And I mean, I'll give my rating at the end, but there's a few more scenes that I wanted to go through, and maybe you can explain a little better. You explained Jay and Silent Bob in the film, but where does the shit monster come in?
So the shit monster comes in is so the Azrael guy. He was a fallen angel too. So at one point, when the devil Lucifer comes down, and then he wants to become his own organization type thing. So him and God are fighting. Azrael is naturally just an angel that does mostly just art, so he doesn't want to fight. And then God's like, well, if you're not going to fight for heaven, then you're automatically going to hell. So he's basically a demon now.
Oh, okay.
And so then he's
He's the guy portrayed with the horns on his head.
Yep. And so then he's the one that brought the shit demon into. I mean, that shit demon was always like a thing. That's just the form it took to come in.
See, and now that kind of interaction into the mortal realm is what I expected the angels to be able to do. Like this little devil dude, whatever you want to call him, Azrael, can make a shit monster. Why instead Matt Damon goes in and starts shooting up the corporate guys? Why can't he just make his own shit monster or something?
Yeah.
I don't know. You know what I mean? Like, that's what I didn't get. They just portrayed him like, yeah, baby. Okay, everybody's dead. All right, I did my job. All right, see you guys later.
I mean, how would you portray it though?
I don't know. I just think that
he's supposed to be an angel.
They're supposed to be angels. So
but the thing is, they still
still use the guns to kill the guys. It's like whatever. I don't know.
Yeah, I know what you're saying.
You figure it out, but I don't know. It just one question. And that's my only skepticism.
Yeah,
like this whole thing is probably skeptical towards religion. That's what I'd be skeptical towards.
The
if
shit
I were...
monster is supposed to be basically something like kind of like the mood slime. It's a base of stuff that was disgusting to begin with.
Gotcha.
To form into
that
something.
makes sense. I like that. I like that aspect. It's literally just like this is human excrement. It's bad for you. Let's turn it into a monster.
Well, and the monster, it's still a real thing though.
Yeah.
It just needed something to focus on so it can become a monster itself.
Okay.
Kind of like the tub in Ghostbusters 2 when the moose slime becomes like this actual monster. All that bad slime just became an actual physical monster.
I got you.
And that's kind of the same thing that the monster was still real, but then it just needed some sort of form, and then it just took on shit because
that's
it's
interesting.
nasty.
Yeah. So Chris Rock and that other girl, I can't really remember her name, but they're both apostles.
Oh,
the stripper girl.
Hamak or whatever.
Yeah.
I forgot to pronounce her name.
Those guys are apostles. How do they? Where do they fit into the story?
So Chris Rock's actually not an apostle. He's he's something else. I forget. He's like one of the other people.
A muse.
No, the other girl was the muse.
Oh, okay.
The girl was the muse. Maybe he was like apostle or something like that. He was supposed to be like how there's like 12 apostles that wrote in the book.
Yeah,
He was supposed to be like the 13th.
Yeah.
And then he basically blamed it because he's black.
Yeah, no,
and that's why he was never.
Funny.
And then that's why he was never in the book.
Yeah.
It's like, what do you think? You think they're gonna keep a bunch of white guys?
Well, that's what it was saying. Like, oh, what do you know? What do you know? Do you know God? And he was like, yeah, I knew he was black, wasn't he? You know, he has like.
Well, that was Jesus.
Okay, Jesus was black. Yeah, right. God, yeah. Sorry. Yeah.
Which doesn't make sense because Jesus is supposed to be the son of God.
Yeah.
And then they portray God as a woman. It's like,
yeah.
wait, what? And
that's where I was kind of. That's
and
where
the
I was
woman
kind of
is,
funny too.
and the woman that's God is white, and then Jesus was black. Like that makes.
Yeah.
Like that doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
I mean, God can be any form I think he wants to be.
Exactly. Well, that's why they portrayed him as an old guy at the beginning. So.
Well, see, that was a vessel for her to go into. I don't know if it was like a a body God transformed into, or if
Yeah.
it was just a body he took over.
Yeah.
It doesn't really explain that. All I know is God was an old guy at the beginning, and he was a young woman at the end.
Yeah, yeah, and I think we're taking this like it's a comedy, so we're taking it kind of
Okay.
literally to like
Well,
why
I
people
mean,
would be
but-
disgusted with it.
Yeah.
Like I said, that Chris Rock part when he comes in and kind of explains himself, I thought that was quite
I
funny.
thought
that was
I
kinda-
just thought it was funny when Jay was talking about like, oh, you're not gonna just get a random naked guy falling out of the sky.
Yeah,
Boom! And he's
yeah.
like, oh, you're not gonna find a naked woman falling out of the sky.
Where's that? One of my favorite scenes actually was when they were at the strip club, and their reaction to being at the strip club is probably one of my favorite parts, honestly.
When
they-
Silent Bob's in there,
Yeah,
looking
he's
at
just like-
the dollar bills.
Yeah,
Or, I don't know what
kind of shaking his head like whatever he said, like
just
alright.
thinks he's gangster.
I thought that was a funny part. There's a lot of little interactions like that. Like I think those were the comedic parts for me. They're little interactions. They didn't take it seriously at all. They were just kind of having fun with the film.
That's how Jay and Silent Bob are.
Yep.
Basically, are in every movie. They're not really serious characters.
Yeah, yeah. And I thought it's got to be pretty challenging for them taking like this serious topic and making it into a comedy. Yeah. It really
Smith
pushes.
thinking in the first place?
Yeah, it pushes boundaries, and I think that's part of why I like the film as well. Just always pushing boundaries. You're not going to be worried about criticism. There's going to be criticism, no matter
what you do.
Any kind of comedy is going to have certain criticism from somebody
But this
out
was
there.
so bad that they were trying to get
I know.
theaters,
Yeah,
so.
yeah. That was
The whole Christian
I don't
movie.
I don't really remember that at all. when
I
it was
don't
going
either.
on.
I watched this after I watched
But just-
the Dogma first
and
time.
I watched a few interviews of it, and it seemed like they kept on deflecting from it. Like, I'm not gonna worry about that. This is a film. Like, I made the film to be funny. It's not meant
This
to
is
be.
maybe before he probably put it in the theater. I don't know.
Maybe.
But
And yeah, it is.
because I think it got banned at certain theaters too, just because of that.
Oh, I'm sure. I'm
aspect
sure.
of-
I mean, some people are like, yeah, we're not gonna play that. Just like those guys I was listening to, they're like, don't watch this film, and I'm just thinking to myself, okay, that's fine. Somebody's gonna take your word for it and not watch the film, but they're missing out on something. I really think they're missing out on something. You know?
Yeah, I mean that could be a challenge for your faith.
Yeah, in a way, yeah. I would say that would be correct. You know,
Yeah.
if
you
you're so
really
strong,
thought
if
you're
you're so strong in your faith, then
you
it
should be able to watch this.
It
and
shouldn't
not
hurt
affect
you at
your-
all. It shouldn't
Yeah.
diminish your thought. And in fact, it should reinforce your thoughts. You know, it should reinforce what you believe in.
Yeah, I agree with you.
It's interesting. We are.
I'm almost worried in a way.
Oh, Goku. Sorry, I didn't catch your chats there. He says, Meow Wows. How's the Meow Wows? Next year, watch the new Super Mario movie after you watch the Dragon Ball superhero movie.
We are definitely watching the Super Mario.
We're definitely going to watch the Super Mario movie. That is a must. I think we might actually do like a review of it. I think that would be kind of fun. I think it would be...
Watch it and then have a
Yeah,
review.
watch it and then talk about it afterwards. I bet your boy's looking forward to it. I know my son's looking forward to it.
I mean, he's not a huge Mario thing, but if I brought it up, I'm sure.
Oh, I'm sure. I'm sure.